This is KCIM Carroll.
KCIM Sports presents the Pizza Ranch Saturday Morning Coaches Show with Sports Director Jeff Blankman.
Thank you very much, John. Good Saturday morning, everybody. Welcome here to the Pizza Ranch Coaches Show. We're going to talk to Justin Yetmar, Sean Minahan, Katie Cook, Randy Beeson, all about basketball. We'll talk wrestling with Shane Vaughn, Eric Noggle, and Joe Daniels. And we've got Deb Danner coming in as well to talk Carroll boys swimming. Let's start with the scoreboard from last night. We'll start off with girls basketball, and again, complete recaps of all of last night's area girls and boys basketball games with the stats are all available online on the Brinks Exterior Sports Report at sports.1380kcim.com. In girls basketball, again, Kemper beat Atlantic 60-41. It was Kaylee Simons with 19 points and 3 rebounds. Carroll falls to North Polk 54-46. Chloe Cook 13 points with 10 rebounds, 3 assists, and a couple of steals. South Central Calhoun downs Storm Lake St. Mary's 50-18. It was Macy Dorman with 16 points, 6 rebounds, and 4 assists. Coon Rapids Bayard knocks off Cam 46-38. It was Ashton Clucky with 10 points to go with 7 rebounds. Exira Kimballton downs at Woodmine 61-31. Jalen Peterson with 17 points on the night. Esac County falls to Emmetsburg 50-29. Sarah Bontrager 6 points, 2 assists, 3 steals, and a couple of blocks. And it was Peyton Sheridan all over Arweva 52-18 for Peyton Sheridan last night. Olivia Smith with 12 points for the Arweva Rockets. It was Noelia Gonzalez with 7 points to go with 2 rebounds. In boys basketball action, Kemper downs Atlantic 75-44. Griffin Glenn with 16 points. It was Carroll rolling by North Polk 73-45. Jared Moore 10 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists, and 4 steals. Arweva knocks out Peyton Sheridan 53-42 for Arweva. It was Wyatt Regaler with 18 points, 6 rebounds. Trayvon Keeley had 15 points and 11 rebounds for Peyton Sheridan. Audubon knocks off AHSD Avoca Walnut 63-51. Aiden Kiergaard 23 points, 13 rebounds, and 2 steals. South Central Calhoun knocks off Storm Lake St. Mary's 48-19. Evan Myers with 14 points. Coon Rapids Bayard cruises by Cam 70-45. Ty Hayden 16 points, a new school game record, single game record, 26 rebounds to go with 2 steals. It was Esac County falling to Emmetsburg 66-33. Weston Julin with 7 points and 5 rebounds. We've got Justin Yetmar waiting to come in. We're back with more of the Pizza Ranch Coaches Show here on KCIM. When life gets busy and schedules start shifting, figuring out meals can get a little tricky. Pizza Ranch is here to make it easy. Stop in for their buffet and enjoy all your Pizza Ranch favorites. Prefer to stay in? Check out their new carry-out and delivery deals. An 8-piece chicken box for $16 or a large pizza with 16 boneless wings for just $25. Call today or order any of these offers online at pizzaranch.com. Pizza Ranch just off Highway 30 in Carroll.
Whoa, that's good.
Justin Yetmar, the head girls basketball coach with the Kemper Knights, joining us here on the Pizza Ranch Coach Show, of course, on this Saturday morning. The Knights 1-1 since the holiday break, picking up a very nice win against a good Atlantic Ball Club, 60-41 last night. Coach, it's always good to catch up with you. How you doing?
Good. Appreciate you having us, Jeff.
You bet, Coach. Glad to be back here on Saturday mornings with you guys, and appreciate you checking in with us here today. Nice bounce back win. Good start last night. Kind of something you needed. I know Kaylee Simons came out and hit 5 threes in the first half. Her Elsa Tiefenthaler and Charlotte Hackford all had big nights the way it sounded offensively for you, but kind of a nice team win at the same time.
Yeah, it was best way to describe it. It was a lot of fun. We challenged the girls defensively from an energy effort, just fly around, be disruptive, and we did that early. It led to some transition. It led to us, putting them in a scramble situation. We were making extra passes. Yeah, and Kaylee got really hot, and we've been waiting for this.
Yep.
She hasn't shot it up to her standards. And she didn't panic. I didn't panic. None of us panicked because you watch her shoot the basketball, and it's really pure. And she got hot, which got us off to a great start. Charlotte was really confident last night. She shot it really well. She was getting to the hoop. She hit a mid-range. So she was kind of ready to roll. And then Ellis else played a really nice floor game. She's really hard to defend. She hits a shot and then she gets downhill. She was distributing. So, yeah, really, really proud of the girls. They played hard, and then they had fun playing basketball last night.
And Coach Addie Antover, a nice job on the boards last night, and it sounded like in talking with you, Morgan Mashing, she's going to give you 1,000 miles an hour and 120%. Had a really terrific defensive night as well.
Yeah, Addie, we challenged Addie. She's so athletic and she's long. She's a tough matchup. She had 5 offensive rebounds, which, those are kind of quiet stats that, it gets extra shots and, it puts pressure on the other team. And, and for Morgan, number one, the Schrader, she's a really nice player, all conference, really, really good player. And, in the second half, she hit a couple of threes early in the game. And in the second half, we just made an adjustment that told Morgan, just don't let her touch it. And she had the 6 in the first quarter and ended with 6. So hats off to Morgan, and that's just the type of kid she is. She just buys into that role, and, that's what makes the basketball team is kids willing to, play those roles and kind of do the stuff that doesn't always show up in the stat book, but you need them.
I know you started the third quarter kind of cold after shooting it really well in the first half. I know you took a timeout and all of a sudden kind of things jump-started. What was the conversation there?
Yeah, they kind of went to a jump-type pressure, and I don't know why it caught us off guard. We kind of talked about it, but, kind of once you get slapped with it, it kind of puts you on your heels. So we just made a little adjustment, and then from there, the girls adjusted. Last time we played them, it was a very similar game. We kind of got up, and then, they made a run late with that kind of jump pressure. So we told the girls this time, we're going to keep attacking. If you're open, knock it down. Versus the last time we were kind of playing the clock and trying to just get to the end. This time we just let them go play basketball, which I think is the preferred path for this group. So that's what they did, and they finished.
What'd you see from some of the younger girls that I know got a chance to play late?
They are getting better every single practice, every single game. And it was a big crowd. There's definitely some nerves. One kid definitely want to give a shout out to is Caitlin Yetmar. She started last night with senior night. Another one of those kids that will just do what is asked of her. Not going to try and go beyond that. Great teammate, kind of the leader, getting everybody kind of fired up, ready to play. So, I thought she played a really nice floor game last night as well. And then Millie Antover, she's really coming along. She got quite a few minutes at Heelan. So we're going to probably start seeing a little bit more of her as this season goes on. A lot like her sister, very athletic, very active, and she's getting very skilled very quickly for us. So encouraging stuff.
Coach, you mentioned it. We'll fly by it. Thursday night's game, kind of one of those you watch and then you flush it and you forget about it. Heelan really, really good. Ranked number 2, maybe the best team in the state in their class, but they kind of jumped out early. Their pressure was really tough, it sounds like, all night long.
Yeah, they there's no other words. They took it to us, and we went into a perfect storm of first game out of break, and they're really good. They pressured us. We played on our heels, and we missed some shots early, which affects confidence. But 2 things from that for us is one, we know it exposed some stuff. We talked about it, but more importantly, the resilience and the bounce back of the girls to play the next night and kind of do what they did. So that's what you want to see from a team.
Dennis and Schleswig now on Tuesday. Coach, what are you hoping to see?
Same thing. Continue to keep improving. Defensively, we got to continue to go back to work and not lose that edge that I thought we had kind of going into break. We were really active. We played with a lot of energy. We were making it really hard on teams. And then Carlisle and Heelan, we kind of lost that a little bit. Now, credit to them. They're really good teams. But, for us, it's defense is going to lead to offense. And then, once we get flowing, we got girls that, they can shoot it. We can get downhill. We got bigs that can do all the right things. So, for us, it's just continue to build, continue to work, get back in the gym, get more shots up. Kind of all the things probably every coach talks about, but it's really true for us.
Well, Coach, as always, we appreciate all the time here. Best of luck coming up Tuesday. Enjoy the weekend, and congrats on last night.
Yeah, appreciate it, Jeff. Thanks for the coverage, as always.
You bet. Head coach Justin Yetmar again with the Kemper Knight girls basketball team. We're back with more here on the Pizza Ranch Coaches Show on KCIM.
This is KCIM Carroll, also broadcasting on translator K236CV at 95.1 FM. We are KCIM, Carroll Broadcasting.
We're back here on the Pizza Ranch Coaches Show on this Saturday morning. Sean Minahan, the head boys basketball coach with the Kemper Knights, joining us. Knights picking up a convincing 75-44 victory over Atlantic. When we bounced back to last week, they were able to knock off Heelan last Friday, falling to Dowling in that Catholic Championship game on Saturday. So, Coach, 3 games already here out of the break. We're only about 8-9 days out of the break, but 3 games in. You're 2-1 right now. Appreciate you joining us here today. How are you feeling about the way things are with this team right now?
All things considered, pretty good. I think we learned some stuff about ourselves over the Catholic Classic last weekend, and we're able to really focus on our defense this week at practice. And I thought our guys did a really good job last night defensively. I thought we were rebounding the ball pretty well also.
Yeah, you held them to 4 points in the first quarter, got up 21-4. I think you told me it was 56-20 midway through the third quarter. So I had to really like the defensive side. What was it that you were doing well? Was it rotating? Was it just locking guys down themselves? What was it that you were doing well?
It was just our on-ball positioning was better. We were able to keep them out of the middle, excuse me, for the most part. Contested shots on the outside, and they, limited their second chance opportunities. I'm trying to remember exactly what they had for offensive rebounds. They only had 4 offensive rebounds is what we had them down for. So we did a really good job of limiting that. I thought we did a good job on Gavin McLaren. He's a really good player.
Yep.
And he ended up having 13 points, but I want to say he had probably, 9 to 10 of those after our starters were pulled. So I just thought our effort, Ryan Clare did a great job on him with his positioning, battling. He had several block shots. I think we had 9 block shots as a team. I think Ryan had 4 by himself. So he did a really good job on defense on him.
Did your defense then lead to the offense? Is that how it worked, or how did the offense come?
Yeah, we had a decent number of steals. We only had 9 steals, so nothing crazy from that standpoint. I just thought we had a lot of good ball pressure, and then we did a really good job of running off of missed shots out in transition. We did a good job of looking from our primary break where we're just passing them up and trying to get to the rim, and then our guys did a really good job of, if that's not there, running our secondary break options and then executing out of those.
You mentioned you got some guys in about midway through the third quarter. What did you see from those guys that maybe always don't get a ton of playing time?
Even before Tanner Bain, I thought did a really good job of mixing in, being that first guy off the bench for us. I thought he did a really good job. He had 6 rebounds for us, 3 offense, 3 defense. He had a 3. He ran out in transition really well, played great defense. So, he really sparked us coming in. I loved seeing that. Jordan Tryon had a nice assist in there. He got Nash Leonard going. I'm trying to remember what Nash finished with. Nash finished with 7 points.
Yep.
So it's nice to see him trying to just get him more and more confidence, and he scored those points against Gavin McLaren. So he's going against a big, a senior post player or conference that he's battling with, someone that's big and strong. physically that can match up with Nash's strength. So seeing him battling with somebody like that, that's really good for his growth. And just getting our young guards, giving them some opportunities to get out there and play as well was nice. Easton, Gifford, and Evan Pick and Tay Alford got them some minutes out there.
Coach, let's bounce back. Catholic Classic last week. You guys are right in it with Dowling. You only end up losing by 14 as they're ranked third in the state, and I heard 20th in the nation for their size of a school. But down 3, I think it was at the halftime, played a really good first half. They edged away a little bit in the third quarter, able to get by Heelan on Friday night to advance into that championship game. So when you look back at those 2 games last week, what stands out for you about what you guys did?
Yeah, we're actually only down 2 to Dowling at halftime. It was 23-21 at half. They scored right before the half to go in with a 2-point lead because we had just tied it up. I really liked our defensive pressure. I thought, we really did a good job of battling. They have a lot of size. They got a 6'10" kid going to Navy. That's a senior. They have a junior that's 6'8", 6'9", really long and athletic. That they're just tough matchups for us. I thought our guys contested. The big kid that's going to Navy, he did most of his shots. He was shooting, 17-foot jump shots, and those are one of those things. They're like, what do you want us to do? I'm like, you have to let him shoot that shot. I'd rather him be shooting from 17 feet than right at the rim. Contest it as best you can, but I'd rather him shoot those long shots than be right up at the rim where even if he misses it, they have easy put-back opportunities. I thought we did a pretty good job of keeping them off the glass. And really, if you look at even, the score by quarters, you're down 2 at halftime. The third quarter, they got us in that third quarter 18-3, and then fourth quarter was 12-9, so that was pretty darn even. I was proud of our guys. We created some shot opportunities. We just need to keep working on the flow of our offense and not just relying on trying to beat people off the drive, which is something that we really tried to focus on this past week in practice.
Able to rally back the night before, if I remember correctly, against Heelan to pick up a 59-57 victory, and got some buckets late. Ryan Clare, I think, scored, and Griffin Glenn both scored for you late to be able to help you get that win.
Yeah, and that was big for our confidence. With Brock's been out, and then Dylan went down with a sprained ankle right before Christmas in the Carroll game. So he was out. So we're out 2 starters that game, going against the really talented Heelan team who only had 2 previous losses on the year, and one of them was by 1 point to Sioux City East. So, and then their other loss was to Trainer, who was a ranked team in 2A, and they only had 3 practices on the season before they played Trainer. So. That gives you a pretty good idea of how talented this Trainer team is. And we went out and, we struggled a little bit trying to get our footing under us, down the 2 starters. But our guys, they kept battling, they kept fighting. Defensively, we kept working. Offensively, we weren't exactly running what we needed to do. When I talked earlier about our secondary break that we did a good job of against Atlantic, we didn't do it in the first half against Heelan. We did a much better job of looking for that in the second half against Heelan. It created some great opportunities, and Griffin Glenn had a huge second half, really leading us. I think he had 20 points, I want to say, in the second half.
Wow. Yeah, he's really come on, and you knew he was capable of that, now having to play a little bit of a different role. Coach, with that, you mentioned, you're out without Brock right now. Dylan's been out a little bit of a late with that sprained ankle, so everybody kind of having to figure out different roles, but you're still finding ways to win games.
Yeah, I mean, that's, it stinks, what our guys have had to go through and battle through, but at the same time, it is helping our team grow. It's giving guys other opportunities to step up, and we got guys that are doing it.
Coach, Wes Lyon now tomorrow up at Dordt. I'll have the broadcast for everybody on Kick 106.7. Should get underway probably sometime around 7 o'clock or so for the tip-off of that game. You guys had such a great battle last year at BV. Looking for a similar kind of a game tomorrow?
Well, it'll be a little bit different. Last year they had, I can't remember the guard's name off the top of my head. He was an amazing shooter.
Yes.
He was a leading scorer. He was fun to watch. Not exactly fun to coach against, but he was definitely fun to watch. And then they had the Jordan Meyer kid who was super talented. He came back this year, but he tore his ACL during football. So last year they had two guys that could really shoot it. This year they do have one kid that's a pretty good shooter, but for the most part they really rely on their size and their physicality, playing defense and battling. Their record, I think they're 500 right now. I want to say they beat Okoboji last night to get a win after they had dropped a couple in a row. But, they play up in Northwest Iowa where everybody's good at basketball. Everybody's got size. Everyone plays physical up there. So it's going to create unique opportunities for us. It's going to force us to play physical defense, force us to rebound, and be able to execute on the offensive end.
Well, Coach, as always, looking forward to come up to Dordt to watch you guys a little bit later on tonight. Wish you the best of luck. We'll talk to you before the game up there. So appreciate you joining us here this morning.
Thank you.
You bet. Head coach Sean Minahan again with the Kemper boys basketball team. We're back with more of our Pizza Ranch Coaches Show. We'll talk to Katie Cook coming up next here on KCIM. When life gets busy and schedules start shifting, figuring out meals can get a little tricky. Pizza Ranch is here to make it easy. Stop in for their buffet and enjoy all your Pizza Ranch favorites. Prefer to stay in? Check out their new carry-out and delivery deals. An 8-piece chicken box for $16 or a large pizza with 16 boneless wings for just $25. Call today or order any of these offers online at PizzaRanch.com. Pizza Ranch just off Highway 30 in Carroll.
Whoa, that's good.
Katie Cook, the head girls basketball coach with the Carroll Tigers, joining us here on this Saturday morning here, of course, on KCIM, part of the Pizza Ranch Coaches Show. Tigers coming off a tough, hard-fought loss against number 10 North Polk last night, 54-46. Prior to that, they had beat Bondurant for our 49-38 last Friday and got by Ballard on Tuesday, 62-58. So, Coach, I know a tough one last night, but to be 2-1 to come out of the break with the 10th-ranked team in the state on the schedule, probably got to feel pretty good about it.
Yeah, we're sitting pretty good. We've come out of the break really strong. We've had, 3 players getting double figures, and kind of that missing puzzle piece in scoring for us with, like who's that third scorer. And Analia Ayala has kind of answered the call and been strong for us.
What has she been doing well? Is it just shooting the ball better, or what's kind of been the main, resurgence of her?
Yeah, that shooting and she gets some offensive putbacks, some drives to the basket. She's really good at cutting to the basket. So really just all around scoring and handling the ball well for us.
Foul trouble kind of hurt you guys early last night in that loss, even though you were only down 2 at the end of the first quarter. They were able to kind of use that and build a little bit more of a lead. I think up 9 at halftime last night and then put it into double digits for a while in the third quarter. Coach, what did you do well in that game against North Polk?
Well, I thought we did a good job of, closing down the drives and forcing them to kick it out. I thought we took good care of the ball. I think we had ended up with 12 turnovers. Anytime we're 12 or less, we're pretty happy with that. We put up 44 points, I believe, against a top 10 team in 4A. So I'm pretty pleased with us, how we played offensively. There are some things we need to polish on the defensive end and some rebounding things we need to fix. But other than that, I like the progress that this team is making.
Where is it is the progress been mainly offensively, defensively, or a nice combination of both?
I think both, honestly. We try to make sure we're improving in all areas of the game.
You guys did have it down. I think it was 11 in the third quarter. Did you feel like, that there was still that chance to make that run if you could maybe get a couple of quick buckets to fall?
Oh, for sure. We had a tough second quarter. Allie picked up her third foul early in the second quarter and sat most of the second quarter. And we're just, against a team like this, we kind of need Allie in there. She's a tough utility player for us. She's kind of our go-to scorer. She helps us break the press. She's our leading rebounder, one of our best defenders. So we really miss having her on the court. And that was kind of tough to bounce back from for us. We were able to put some pressure on in the fourth quarter, cause some turnovers. hit a couple threes, and ended up losing by 8.
Coach, let's bounce back to Tuesday. You guys took on Ballard on Tuesday night, 62-58. You pick up the win there. That game goes to double overtime. What was the difference in that second OT?
I think we did a better job of managing the clock than we have the rest of the season. Ballard's fouls caught up to them. A couple of their starters fouled out in that double overtime, which, so I think that hurts them. They're kind of like us, where I suppose if, you lose a couple, or if you got a couple girls on the bench, kind of like I was saying earlier with Allie on the bench, we're just not quite the same. But anyway, so that caught up with them, and it was just a dogfight. I was really proud of the effort our girls gave and how they, just rode the highs and lows of the game and kept themselves in it and fought really, really, really hard to pull out that win.
And Allie did have a double-double that night with 17 points, 10 rebounds. What did she do well? And then who made some of the clutch scoring for you late in that second overtime?
Well, gosh, it's
been a few days.
Looking back on Tuesday, it was really something. But I know Allie had a 3 late in the game. Analia hit a 3 late in the game. Like you said, Allie finished with 17. Chloe had 17. Analia had 13. It's just really, really, really tough fought game for our girls, and it was really nice to get that win. Everyone was pretty exhausted after playing 40 minutes of basketball.
Yeah. Did that impact Friday night at all, do you think? Or 14, 18-year-old kids, they generally tend to bounce back pretty well?
Gosh, you'd think so. We have a little bit of sickness running through. It's that time of year, which I think fatigued some of our girls last night. But, you never know. We did take it pretty easy Wednesday. After that double overtime game, we had a light practice Wednesday. So hopefully that helped get them back, bouncing back for Friday.
Last Friday, you guys open up the second half of the season. Second and third quarter of the difference against Bondurant. Farrar, you pick up a 49-38 win. You outscored them 28-15 that middle part of the game, Coach. I know it was a week ago, and you've had a few games and practices to go through, but what led to maybe you guys taking control in the middle part of the game last week?
I think we took really good care of the ball. They pressed us pretty much the whole game, and just as a team, led by Analia at point, taking care of the ball. As a team, we broke that press really well and got some layups off of that. Came in, they played 2-3 zone in the half court, and I think teams do that to kind of collapse on Chloe inside or Allie inside, and Chloe's been a really good passer for us. She ended up with 5 assists that game, just, inside, outside against their zone. So, a lot of things were factors, but those are kind of the things that stand out.
Coach, Gilbert on Tuesday on the road, looking at the conference standings, they're kind of right there with you guys, kind of fighting in that 3-4 spot. How big is this game, and what do you got to do to go over and get a win? We're fighting in the middle of the pack there with Gilbert. Winner set. The league's been really competitive this year. Yep.
It's been pretty fun, but they've got shooters. They're not shy about launching deep threes, launching early threes, putting a little full court pressure on. They've got a really good point guard in Callie Hales. I think she's a returning first team all-conference player. So, we'll look to focus in on her for sure.
Well, Coach, as always, congrats on a 2-1 start here to the second half of the season. Best of luck over at Gilbert on Tuesday, and appreciate you joining us here this morning.
Thanks, Jeff.
You bet. Head Coach Katie Cook again with the Carroll girls basketball team. We're back here on KCIM.
The following message is brought to you by the St. Anthony Clinics, with locations in Carroll, Coon Rapids, and Denison.
Hi, this is Jessica Burkowski with the St. Anthony Clinic. Right now, we are seeing many positive cases of influenza A and B. Let's go back to the basics to protect yourself and others. Hand washing is one of the best ways to protect yourself and your family from getting sick. Use hand sanitizers when you can't use soap and water. Hand sanitizers can quickly reduce the number of germs on your hands. Another tip to help prevent the spread of illness is to cover your mouth and nose when you cough or sneeze. If you don't have a tissue, cough or sneeze into your elbow, not your hands. Make sure to wash your hands before eating and every time you touch your nose or your mouth. Also, don't forget to get your influenza vaccination, as it is not too late. The flu vaccination will help protect you against the flu and flu-related complications. Let's work together to stay healthy and keep influenza at bay. St. Anthony Regional Hospital, always look to the cross, always St. Anthony.
We're back here on the Pizza Ranch Coaches Show on this Saturday morning. Randy Beeson, head boys basketball coach with the Kill Tigers, joining us after a convincing win over North Polk. Tigers jumped up 33-1 in that one. Carroll now 2-1 since the break. Coach, it's always good to catch up with you, and boy, has it been a busy start to the January for you and the guys.
Yeah, it's here we are again, right? You get a little break, and then we're right back at it. So good to talk with you and catch up.
You bet. 2-1, win over Bondurant for our last Friday. Fell to top-ranked Ballard. I think played them pretty well on Tuesday. And then we'll start with last night, Coach. I think there's a lot of people are going to say, I've never watched a game like this. I've never broadcasted a game like this. I've never coached a game like this. 33-1 at one point against a good North Polk team. This is a team that came in 5-5 and has played some pretty good basketball this year.
Yeah, I don't think I've been a part of a game like that either. We were really good defensively. They have two good players. We want to do a good job on the Slings kid and the Spiker kid, and the Slings kid ended up with 1 point on the night, averages 15 points a game, and the Spiker kid had 6 of his 8 points in the second half. But we were really good defensively to start, and we passed the ball and got a bunch of steals and made some easy passes and made the extra passes and made some shots, and but couldn't say enough about our defensive effort. Early on in the year, we had the same game plan of, hey, we need to slow down these two best players, and if the other guys make some shots, that's fine, but we really got to control their best players, and we haven't done that. So, again, we're trying to get a little bit better all the time, and it's good to see making some progress on that. So, proud of our guys to start the game, coming off the game with Ballard. They're a really good team. I feel like they physically beat us up. I was really light at practice on Wednesday. Just feel like they needed a break. And, sometimes when you do that, you think, okay, is he doing that because we don't have to be as prepared for the next team that we play? So I was proud of our guys for the effort that they showed right from the start.
Coach, with that kind of intensity on the defensive end, were they able to sustain that for the most part, most of the game? I know sometimes when you get up 33-1, the focus is certainly going to probably not be what it was early, but it sounded like that focus stayed pretty close to that most of the game.
Yeah, the first quarter was really, really good. 24-1. Defensively, we were really good. We passed the ball really well. We had 2 or 3 turnovers. The second quarter, defense was pretty good for the first 3 or 4 minutes, but then we got sloppy with the basketball. We turned it over, I think, 7 times in the second quarter alone. The Peterson kid came off the bench and hit 3 threes. So, they made a little run, which, again, I don't think North Polk is that bad of a team. I think they got some good players, and they run some good stuff, and Coach Jenkins is the new coach, but well-respected and does a good job. So, we go into halftime being up 41-16, so holding them to 15 points in the second quarter is still a pretty good job defensively, and that's after giving up 3 threes, I think, there in the second quarter. So, we did a good job defensively. And the second half was the same way, right? We said, hey, the score is 0-0. Good teams are going to come out and keep playing hard, and they'll do the same. And pretty soon we start the third quarter, and I think they went on a 5-0 run, hit a 3, got a layup. I think we turned it over, and I'm like, oh, man, here we go. Is this what it's going to be like? And then we responded with 2 or 3 really good possessions, driving to the basket, making the extra pass, hit a couple threes. All of a sudden we get a couple steals again and get some easy ones in transition, and they're calling a quick timeout. So we did do a really, really good job of just playing fundamentally sound basketball on the offensive end. Obviously when you make 13 threes, you can say, you got some good shooters and you got hot, but they were the right ones. They were off dribble penetration and kick. It was off the extra pass. It wasn't like just passing around the arc and shooting those. It was offensive rebounds and kickouts. I mean, it was all the things that you preach of, hey, these are the threes that we want to take. And we had some very willing passers. Matt Carlson, I think, had 6 assists, something like that. Jake Jorgensen played his best game of the year. He had 5 assists. I think he had like 5 steals, made a couple threes as well. So he played really well. And, Moyer Oberding broke his finger, so he's out for quite a while here. And we had some other guys that had to sit out tonight. So I thought our guys off the bench came in and did a really nice job. Chase Shable, Talon Crandall, Mason Stitz got in the game and did some nice things too. So, it was just an all-around complete game last night. And Trey Tassel ended up making 5 threes, scored 19 points. So he did a good job. And, I told Jared and Mac at practice the other day, I'm sorry I don't recognize you as much as I probably should, but I just expect you guys to play well every single night, So they quietly just do their job and do a really good job of leading our team. I mean, Jared had 4 steals, 3 assists, probably 9 rebounds. Mac, like I said, had 3 threes and 6 assists as well. So, again, they played well, but it was a good team effort. Trey had 19, Louis had 13, Jared had 10, Mac had 11, Chase Shable had a couple threes, had 8. So a lot of guys scoring points and doing some things for us last night.
Coach, let's bounce back to the other games. Ballard, you kind of mentioned they physically beat you up a little bit, but what were some of the things you did good and stuff in that game? And then you guys roll over Bondurant for our last week, 70-51 on Friday night to open up the second half.
Yeah, Ballard's, they're really good. I mean, they're the number 1 team in the state for a reason. They have a good guard that's been playing, I feel like, forever. And then they had a transfer from Ankeny that's averaging 20 points for him, and he's 6'4" and thick and can shoot it and can score inside. So, we turned it over too much. We knew that they were going to press. We knew that their pressure was going to give us fits. And, it was physical. And our guys did the best that they can. I mean, we're down 13 going into the fourth quarter. And, hey, you get a couple stops, make a couple shots. We're right back in this. And we were just drained at that point. Mac had to play a ton of minutes because we needed him to handle the basketball, and then he's guarding Gibson, who's their best player, so he's just physically tired at the end of the game. Jared was all over the place too. So, they're really good. But again, our effort was there all night, right? We didn't give up. Obviously, a lot of frustration with some of the turnovers and not taking care of it, but our guys fought all the way to the end. So and that's what you want, right?
Yep.
You need guys that are willing to compete against the best teams, and it's no fun to lose those games. But if you want to be the best and you want to accomplish the goals that you have set, you got to try to bring it to the best teams in the state. So we're looking forward to playing them again. But they kind of took it to us, and we only scored 41 points, and that's partly because their defense is really good. So hopefully next time we can take care of it a little bit better. But that was a tough one, but yeah, the game before that was against Bondurant, and I wouldn't say it was like last night against North Polk, but we shot the ball pretty well. I think we had 7 threes on the night. We were super balanced again. Mac had 16 points, Jared had 14, Louis had 10, Trey had 11. Some other guy, Talon Crandall, had a couple threes. So again, we were pretty balanced, and when we can be balanced like that, I feel like we're pretty tough to guard, and so it was a good one. And that game was fairly close. We actually were up 15-6 at the end of the first quarter. Second quarter, they made 4 out of their 6 threes on the night, and we're down 1 going into halftime. So we ended up outscoring them by quite a bit, winning 70-51. So we had a really good second half. But we had to work hard in that game too. So I like where we're at. I like we have Gilbert on Tuesday.
Yep.
And that's going to be a big game. They're kind of right in the same situation as us. Trying to fight for that to that position. And maybe if you sneak one against ADM and Ballard, you can find your way up there in the second and third range. So it'll be a big one. It'll be on the road. We've played 3 games at home, so it feels pretty good to have a home crowd and have that energy. So hopefully we're ready to get going again and find a way to win some tough games on the road.
Well, Coach, as always, love to hear the way you guys played last night and even the games last week and earlier this week with Ballard. Best of luck with Gilbert. That'll be a big one. I think you go back there on Saturday for the tournament, if I remember right, so you'll get used to that trip coming up next week. But appreciate you joining us here today, and best of luck.
Thanks, Jeff. Appreciate all the coverage.
You bet. Head coach Randy Beeson again with the Carroll boys basketball team, back with more on the Pete's Ranch Coaches Show here on KCIM.
Something new is happening at A&W Jefferson, and it makes dining in easier than ever. It's called tabletop ordering, and it's simple. Come in, grab a seat, scan the code at your table, and order right from your phone. No waiting in line, no counter ordering. Just sit back, relax, and they'll bring you your food. Burgers, fries, ice-cold root beer, all ordered from your table. Perfect for families, friends, or anyone who just wants an easy meal. Try the new tabletop ordering today at A&W Jefferson. Dine in, relax, and enjoy.
Shane Ron, head boys and girls wrestling coach with the Kemper Knights, joining us here on this Saturday morning. Coach is on his way down to Tri-Center with the boys. Girls also headed to a tournament this weekend. We'll talk about that coming up here in just a few minutes. But, Coach, appreciate you joining us here today. And I know I teased you before the break if you were getting any sleep. Hopefully a little more rested coming out of the break.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, it was a busy week this week we had girls Monday, boys Tuesday, boys Thursday, boys JV Friday, and then boys and girls Saturday. But next week girls are off until Friday and boys are off until Saturday. So you can kind of take a little step back and evaluate a bit and, maybe get a little rest here and there.
Well, hopefully you don't wear down here, Coach. The girls, though, been wrestling really well. You guys hosted a tournament on Monday, coming out of the break, and I think the girls did a really nice job. How did you feel like things went for the girls that night?
Yeah, I was happy with it. I mean, coming in second place in a pretty strong field was a good sign. But at the same time, we had matches in there that the girls know that they were capable of that we kind of let slip away. So they're wrestling well. They're happy with the progress, but they also are able to stay hungry. They know that a couple of them could have moved up 1 or 2 spots on the podium, and that's kind of feeding them as we continue to go. So hopefully we see that hunger out there today at West Central Valley in their tournament. And, a few of them get a chance to get a few of those matches back already, so that's exciting. Looking forward to a strong performance out of them today.
Is that tournament filled with a lot of teams that the girls have seen before?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's a good field. We get to see West Central Valley again. They've got a lot of tough girls, and those are a couple matches our girls have their eyes on right now, so that's good. Clarinda's there, East Union we've seen, Harlan we've seen, Riverside, Shenandoah. Like, a lot of those schools we see quite a bit, and especially when you've got girls that are competitive. Sometimes you're going back and forth. Sometimes you're continuing to win matches close or lose matches close, and that gives you something to keep striving for.
Let's stay with Monday here real quick, though, Coach. We'll talk a little bit more about Saturday coming up. But you had a lot of girls place in the top 3. I think it was 6 or 7 girls finish in the top 3 of their weight class the other night. Sadie Smith brought you home a championship. Who stood out for you just on what they did out on the mat, whether they won or lost?
I mean, really, all of them had good moments. They all had spots where we're watching. It's like you can see the practice is paying off. And then you also had spots where it's like, okay, that highlights what we need to work on, But I know Aurora Bating has been doing a really good job this year. She had a big pin for us late in the placing rounds, actually. And so that was able to help us kind of bump back up in the team score a little bit. Like you mentioned, Sadie kind of rolled her way to another championship. That was awesome. Wrestled a tough girl in the finals and was able to just kind of stay composed and stay poised and waiting for her moment and take it. Riley Summerfeld's one who, you look at her record and it doesn't quite reflect who she is, I think.
Right.
She's good. She's really good. And she's had a couple losses this year that are frustrating her, but she's working her tail off and she's beating some really good girls. And so I'm looking forward to seeing, the rest of the way if we can get that consistency going and make those little improvements, what she can do down the stretch here.
And, Coach, I know that, both of the Shooty girls wrestling well for you as well.
Yeah, they've both come a long ways. Kara's doing really well. Lucy's doing Anna's doing really well. So they're doing good. They're taking steps forward, and they both work really hard. So that's been awesome as well.
Coach, what's been the biggest focus for the girls since Monday to get ready, as you mentioned, against a pretty good field down here at West Central Valley today?
Continuing to work on the hand fight. When our girls are controlling position on their feet and controlling the tie-ups and moving their opponent around is when they're finding success. And, once we kind of make that connection and get them to realize it, it's easy to kind of keep that focus on it in practice. And, hey, these are little things we do that are allowing us to be successful, so let's make it a big part of our game.
Coach, let's flip over to the boys. You guys were at a quad at St. Albert on Thursday night. How did you feel like the boys wrestled? I know you didn't get a bunch of wins, but what did you see out on the mats?
It's kind of a lot of up and down right now with the guys' side. We see little things that are promising, and then we see some, pretty big things that need fixing. Anytime you come away 0-3 in duels, it's pretty hard to be too positive about it. But at the same time, 2 of those duels were winnable.
Yep.
We're right there coming into the final matches, and so we know we're not far off. And we're making progress, and we're kind of making up that ground. And we just got to keep it going and keep our head up and keep positive about it. And hopefully these last couple of weeks here that we have ahead of us, we can make the most of it and see what we can do.
What did you think was the difference in those tight losses to Clarinda and St. Albert?
There was a lot of little things. We had a couple that were just match awareness, a couple where we, made a little mistake and got caught, got a little sloppy in certain positions, and, those are things we just got to keep cleaning up. But our effort was better. For the most part on Thursday, we had guys going. We had a lot more vocal guys on the bench kind of picking their teammates up. So we're starting to, gel more as a team, just a matter of having the wrestling results come along with it now.
Will Atherton, McGuire, Hoyt, Gavin Wiederin, and Jaron Hoffman all went 2-1 for you on Thursday night. What are some of the things that those guys are doing well?
Yeah, McGuire's been a great leader for us this year. He's kind of one of those guys in the lineup we can depend on to go out, and even against tough kids, he's going to battle. He's going to make it a fight, and so that's kind of what you want from a senior leader. Atherton as well. He's been, his results are kind of complicated this year. He has some matches he wrestles really well, and some where he just needs a little more discipline in positions. But once we get that detail ironed out, he's got the tools. He's got the skill set. He can be very successful. Just got to clean it up. Same thing with Gavin Wiederin. He's had some matches that are head scratchers, and he's had others where he looks really good. So it was awesome to see him go out against Clarinda and get a nice win for us.
You guys hosted a fun quad. I love it. It's not probably fun for you guys because it's work, but I love that quad every year that you guys, Audubon, Carroll, and Coon Rapids Bayard, you guys were able to host this year on a Tuesday night. Your thoughts on how you guys went out and wrestled on Thursday?
Yeah, that is a fun quad. It's always good to see those local schools and compete. Kind of always a reminder of how strong wrestling in the area is, which is good for everyone. It's one of those where that first duel we came out, and that was some of our better wrestling top to bottom as a team that we've had this year. Kids came out and were aggressive and moving people and getting to our offense and looking to score points, and it reflected in us getting a duel win. So that was a fun duel to be a part of for sure. That second duel, same thing. It was a battle. Hats off to Audubon. They were able to take it from us, but that's one that our kids were competing and, got a couple of matches in there that we'd like to think we can get back, and we'll have the opportunity to in a couple of weeks here. Audubon comes to our home dual tournament, so
Yep.
That's one where a close loss is pretty motivating, and we're going to see if our guys can respond to it and rise up and hopefully flip the script in a couple of weeks.
Coach, I know you had some individuals do fairly well for you the other night. Becca Ornament went 3-0, picking up a couple of wins by fall in the decision. Consistency, I think you and I were talking consistency for some of these guys, especially the younger guys, is maybe one of the biggest things you're working on?
Yeah. I'm glad you brought up Beckett. He's doing a lot of things really well. He's a freshman. He's young. He's still pretty green, but he's hungry. He works really hard. He asks a lot of questions, and he's getting a lot better. But he is young, and he's going to make mistakes, and those mistakes sometimes cost you matches, and it happens. But he's got a really good attitude. He's really coachable, so he's got a bright future ahead of him as long as he keeps working the way he is.
Timothy Myers, another guy that wrestled, it looked like pretty well for you the other night in that quad.
Yeah, even the match that Tim lost, he was competitive. He was scrapping. He was fighting. He went out to kind of set the tone for us and get aggressive and just look to score points and make action happen. and he's been wrestling really well so far this year.
Well, Coach, you got headed down to Tri-Center. You're down with the boys today. What's the goal, and what do you want to see from the guys?
Just keep making those individual strides. All those guys that we're bringing with today have little things they know they need to clean up, things that we've been focusing on at practice. So regardless of outcome, if we take steps forward and start cleaning those areas up, we're going to feel good about the way we're heading.
Well, Coach, as always, we appreciate all of the time. Wish you the best of luck coming up here on Saturday today. And as always, looking forward to catching up with you again for the next 5, 6, 7 weeks through the state tournament.
Yeah, thank you very much.
You bet. Head coach Shane Vaughn again with the Kemper boys and girls wrestling teams. We're back with more here on the Pizza Ranch Coaches Show.
Tune in each Monday morning and afternoon for the IKM Manning Minute. We'll be talking to the students about what they're doing and learning each week. The IKM Manning Minute is brought to you by Next Gen Ag Supply in Templeton.
Back here on the Pizza Ranch Coaches Show on this Saturday morning, we're talking to Carroll Tiger boys wrestling right now. Is joining us, of course, is head coach Eric Noggle. Coach, it's always good to catch up with you, man. It's been a while. I think I told you here during the commercial break. Haven't seen or talked to you since like December the 22nd. That Saturday, you guys hosted your tournament.
Yeah, it feels like a year.
It does. Yeah, you were probably like
you since last year.
Yeah, you were probably like the best year of my life not having to talk to you, right?
Oh no.
You guys, looks like and sounds like you had a pretty good break, got some good work in. You guys have come out. You had a quad on Tuesday and a couple of duels on Thursday night. 4-1 in those duels. Probably could have been 5-0, but got to have a feeling you felt like the work that you did over the break has panned out pretty well so far.
Yeah, the kids have done a real good job. We focused on a lot of little detail things and trying to implement them to make them a habit because we miss a few things in there. But again, it's that fine little detail situations that we kind of worked on and during break and when we had time to do that. And the kids transitioned and took what we worked on from the practice room out onto the wrestling mat, and that's what you want them to do. You practice the things and then transfer it over to when you're performing. And I think we really focused on those and kind of made them a little bit better, and it put us in some nice situations and some better opportunities to win matches.
Coach, let's start Tuesday. You guys were up at Kemper. Nice area meet. It's a great meet. I know Storyhan was up taking photos for us. You guys, Kemper, Audubon, and Coon Rapids Bayard as well. Able to control the night pretty well. Picked up 3 pretty convincing victories. What stood out for you about the way your guys maybe went out and attacked on Tuesday night?
It was the first time we had a full lineup. That always helps. Some Audubon and Coon, I know, Kemper as well, fighting some illness, it's going around, so we kind of fought that a little bit with them, and we were pretty healthy, and when you can put 14 guys on the mat, that tends to put you in an optimal winning position, so that helped us out a lot in that situation. But I was impressed. We fixed the little things, and I think that kind of, like I said, from taking it from break to matches, those little things kept us in some of those matches. I wasn't fairly impressed with our offense and from our feet, and that kind of disappointed me a little bit. I thought Audubon did a great job on their feet. I mean, if you look at it, I know they won the takedown battle against us. We just wrestled better in certain positions, and like we said, we put ourselves in positions that we've been working on, and the kids realized it and made those adjustments, and then those won the matches. Those small little detail things, but a little disappointed in our aggressiveness from our feet and scoring positions and doing those things and taking advantage of some of those things. But again, like I said before, it's just knocking the dust off after Christmas break, getting back in the swing of things. You wrestle each other for 2 weeks now, and now you got to go wrestle a different opponent in a different atmosphere and those types of things. So those adjustments, you never know how that's going to be after break, but I thought our guys answered pretty well there.
Coach, when you mentioned, getting to go out and wrestle guys, do you guys attempt to wrestle against anybody else over the break in some kind of a scrimmage or anything like that, or just practice with somebody else, or is it just you guys in the gym over break, partially because you don't want to worry about what's going on for everybody else right now and all the flus and sicknesses?
A little bit of both, but no, we didn't wrestle anybody. We have in the past, but when you have Kemper, Audubon, and Coon, there's really not much farther you could go except, South Central Calhoun or East Sac or somewhere like that, try to get proximity where you get close. I mean, we probably could have went to ACGC or something like that. But, again, with the flus and things going around, traveling, kids getting there and things like that, it's just sometimes it's easier just to beat up on your own people than it is to go to somebody else's room, or they come to your room, or things like that. And with coming back, like I said, come back from break and having those local teams, it's just really, really tough to kind of work together with other teams and get different looks, considering you're going to see most of them. You know, we see Kemper right away, and then we'll see Kemper at districts and things like that. So it's really hard to get in with Shane and those guys and work those types of things. So that kind of separates some things there. But yeah, we have in the past, but we didn't this year.
Coach, you guys Thursday went over to Ballard, knocked off the Bombers. I think it was second or third time you've done that here in the last 3 or 4 years. Beat them 50-26. Kind of a heartbreaking loss to ADM 38-32. You guys went 7-7. That was matches that were wrestled, but you picked up 3 wins by fall. They picked up 5 wins by fall. Kind of the difference in the match. Happy, I'm sure, with the win over Ballard. Disappointed in that loss to ADM.
Yeah, it's not just one match. You know, that 6 points is deceiving because everybody's like, oh, it's just one match, but then you're in that tie situation. So there's 2 or 3 matches in there that could have swung either way. And some of the matches we won against Adel, we were behind and we found ways to win. So it could have went the other way as well. You know, so we found ways to win, and they found ways to win in some of their matches as well against Adel. And it's just kind of that roundabout of finding ways to win and not getting pinned in those situations. You've heard me harp about it millions of times that, you know, it's really tough to give up 6 points and try to get it back, because now you put pressure on your teammate to make up for what happened to you while they're trying to wrestle their match. And sometimes that swings your way and sometimes it doesn't. But thought we wrestled well. Adel did a really, really good job from their bottom position, things that we got to improve on. That gave our guys fits and things that we should be doing that we're not doing. So we got to kind of adjust that as we're going around. And then Ballard, yeah, that was a tough one. They had some guys. I think they had some guys out, a few kids didn't make weight here and there. But again, comes down to those matches and finding ways to win. We were down on some of those matches, and again found ways to score. And we just got to take advantage of scoring possibilities instead of, you know, definitely taking them down. You know, sometimes you got to catch them on their hip and work to try to get some near fall points and things like that. And it's just, it's tough to wrestle and do math at the same time. So our kids got to find ways to build those up so you can build those points. So then the math takes care of itself. But it's not their job to be thinking of math and things like that, but those opportunities to take advantage of it. And we always talk about when you're wrestling the good kids, those things, grow exponentially. Those little mistakes become really, really huge mistakes. And sometimes when you're wrestling a really, really good kid, you might only have that one chance, and you got to know that opportunity and have that feel and take advantage of those situations. So it's just that mat awareness and wrestling different people and wrestling different positions and getting familiar with it.
Coach, heading down to Atlantic this morning as we speak, what are you looking at down there with the Roland Dyer?
Well, I think it's like 16 some teams, I think it is, something like that. And the Atlantic tournament's a tough tournament. You're going to get Glenwood, you're going to get some tough out of state teams in there. You're going to get some 1As, you're going to get some 3As, you're going to get some tough situations in there. We see Humboldt, who's at our district, and so those head-to-heads are going to kind of match up, and it gives us an idea of like what it's going to be like for districts or where we're going to be or who we have to do, and it gives us a chance to see some of those guys that we don't get a chance to see. And the thing I like about it is a lot of teams that we don't ever get a chance to see, and we don't see them at other tournaments. So head-to-heads become an issue because you don't ever see anybody, but it's just nice to be able to wrestle people from different areas and different schools and do those things. And just it's a nice group of talents in there, and it's not an easy one. You got to be locked and loaded, and that's what I like right after Christmas break is you start off with that tournament that's going to be a buzzsaw, and it's not going to get any easier through. Our month of January is brutal, and you got to be ready and prepared to wrestle at every situation and get better. And that's the bottom line. Like I told the kids, let's get better and let's wrestle people. Doesn't do any good to kind of hold back and try to fill people out. That's not the time to do it. We got to go wrestle through positions and find ways that we can win, and then we can go back and look at where mistakes were. But if we don't wrestle them and we just kind of hold back and wrestle defensively and do those things, it's really, really hard for us to be like, hey, your high crotch is open on this position, or hey, he does this, or he did this when this happened. Because if you don't react to it and do things like that, it's really hard for us to fix those things. So we're just hoping to come out and wrestle hard and give it our best shot and roll the dice and see how it happens.
Well, Coach, as always, we appreciate all the time. Looking forward to getting to talk to you for the next 6-7 weeks in a row. So looking forward to that. Appreciate you joining us here today, and best of luck.
Not a problem, thanks. And as always, go Tigers.
Head coach Eric Noggle again with the Carroll Boys wrestling team, back with more here on the Pizza Ranch Coaches Show on this at KCIM. When life gets busy and schedules start shifting, figuring out meals can get a little tricky. Pizza Ranch is here to make it easy. Stop in for their buffet and enjoy all your Pizza Ranch favorites. Prefer to stay in? Check out their new carry-out and delivery deals. An 8-piece chicken box for $16 or a large pizza with 16 boneless wings for just $25. Call today or order any of these offers online at pizzaranch.com. Pizza Ranch just off Highway 30 in Carroll.
Whoa, that's good.
We're back here on the Pizza Ranch Coaches Show on this Saturday morning as we're talking some Carroll boys swimming right now. Head coach Deb Danner is joining us. The Tigers had a fantastic meet last Saturday to get the second half of the season with 6 championships over at Des Moines East. They're headed to Des Moines Johnston, down to Johnston and Des Moines coming up this morning. Coach, it's always good to catch up with you. How you been?
Yeah, I'm doing great. Yeah, it's always good to be here.
Yeah, it is, Coach. And I tell you what, I'm not going to ask you like I do most of the coaches, how was your break? You didn't get one, so you didn't get a break. So how was the workouts during the break for everybody else?
Yeah, as usual, the Christmas break, we kind of ramped things up a little bit, do some harder yardage, faster intervals, that type of thing. So, yeah, they always know what's coming, and I think they're usually pretty prepared for it.
Everybody got through it pretty well the way it seems, because you go to Des Moines East last Saturday, you win 6 championships. I'm guessing pretty pleased with that?
Yeah, absolutely. We've never been to that invite before, and so, saw some teams that we don't normally get to see during the season. So it was a lot of fun to swim some new competition, and the boys swam well. We had some good times. We had some times that weren't great, but they were good enough. Coming off of a break, they're all excited to get back in and compete again.
So when you say time's not quite good enough, but you were able, so has everybody kind of come out of the break, maybe not where they were at before they went into the break? Is that kind of a thing?
Well, like I said, we kind of ramp it up a little bit during break, so, they're a little bit tired.
Okay.
They don't really get a break. They get Christmas off and New Year's off, and that's about it. They're a little tired, and we're working a little bit harder, and so, it's, some kids respond well to that, and some do not. So, nothing surprising about it. So, it was an all right meet.
Finished third there as a team. Who did you feel like swam the times you wanted them to?
Yeah, a lot of the boys did well. Like Weston, he did pretty good in his events. I was happy with his times. Jordan Wilson actually did very well, dropping time in his events. He did good. Brody Screen did well in his breaststroke. Happy to see that. So we had some good times. Ligon and Tegan pretty much never disappoint me. So they did very well. But we, like I said, we had a few times that probably weren't where we were hoping to be, but we'll work on it. We'll get better.
And you mentioned Charlie Logan and Jordan Wilson. I know you mentioned them especially in the email you sent with the results the other night. What was impressive about the way they swam in the 200 free and the 100 back, and then the 50 free and 100 fly, respectively?
Yeah, like I said, we ramped it up a little bit. They respond well to the harder yardage. That was just with Charlie not knowing, being a freshman, I wasn't real sure how he was going to react. But he did very well, and I'm very happy to see that. And I know Jordan, we can work him a little bit harder, and he'll respond well. Their dives were good, their turns were good. They just, they went in with a really good mindset, and it showed. Another
guy that's been swimming, I think, kind of quietly very well for you is Landon Cadwell. What's been his strengths this year? Because I know we talk a lot about Legan and Teagan, and rightfully so, 2 All-Americans, but he's kind of quietly just picking up some wins for you quite often.
Oh, yes, he does. He's a nice little swimmer there. So he's been doing a lot of work in the off season, and it's really paying off. And the nice thing is this kid, I can swim him anywhere, and he's going to do well.
Right.
So, he's only a junior, so I get him for 1 more year, so I'm really excited about that. But yeah, he's, like I said, his off season has really helped him out a lot, and it's just been real exciting to see what he can all do.
Does he really like the 500 free, or is he just pretty good at it?
He's just pretty good at it.
I had a feeling not too many kids like the 500 free, right?
I mean, he's okay with it. He'd rather not swim it all the time.
Right.
He actually likes the 2 IM, so we've been kind of throwing that at him quite a bit and trying to hit another event just here and there. But he's good at it. It's not his favorite event, but he is good at it. So, sometimes they know they're going to have to swim events that they don't necessarily want to. But, if we're trying to win some meets, that's how it goes.
And Coach, speaking of winning some meets, hopefully you guys contend. I know you said Waukees there, and they're always really, really good, sometimes the best team in the state. But what are you looking at with the Johnston meet today over at Summit?
Yeah, so, Waukee will definitely dominate this meet, but, we're just looking to see if we can just take a few events away from them. Legan and Teagan will do very well with that. They'll give them some really good races. Landon will be right up there with them, along with Weston and Charlie. But yeah, we know, how that's going to turn out with Waukee, but, we got some other teams that we're just trying to take some spots away from them too. Johnston, Oskaloosa, we haven't seen Oskaloosa yet, so that'll be kind of a new experience for the boys. But yeah, it's like I said, we just kind of go in and we kind of cherry pick different kids that we're trying to shoot for to beat them out, and if we can, that means we're going to drop a little bit of time. So, that's just kind of how we do that.
Well, Coach, as always, fun to catch up with you. Good luck coming up later on today, and looking forward to catching up with you again a bunch here over the next couple of months.
All right, thank you.
You bet. Head Coach Deb Danner again with the Carroll Boys swim team. We're back with more here on the Pete's Ranch Coaches Show.
The following message is brought to you by the St. Anthony Clinics, with locations in Carroll, Coon Rapids, and Denison.
Hi, this is Jessica Burkowski with the St. Anthony Clinic. Right now, we are seeing many positive cases of influenza A and B. Let's go back to the basics to protect yourself and others. Hand washing is one of the best ways to protect yourself and your family from getting sick. Use hand sanitizers when you can't use soap and water. Hand sanitizers can quickly reduce the number of germs on your hands. Another tip to help prevent the spread of illness is to cover your mouth and nose when you cough or sneeze. If you don't have a tissue, cough or sneeze into your elbow, not your hands. Make sure to wash your hands before eating and every time you touch your nose or your mouth. Also, don't forget to get your influenza vaccination, as it is not too late. The flu vaccination will help protect you against the flu and flu-related complications. Let's work together to stay healthy and keep influenza at bay. St. Anthony Regional Hospital, always look to the cross, always St. Anthony.
We're talking here this morning with Carroll Groves Wrestling coach Joe Daniels as they are on their way over to State Center, West Marshall High School, for a big tournament over there on this Saturday morning. But we're going to take a look back at what's happened since the holiday break. Coach, it's always good to catch up with you. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Yeah, thanks for having me on. We're happy to be back after that long Christmas break.
Yeah, did it feel like a long break, or was it a fairly quick one?
It felt long to me. We stay pretty busy. We keep about 2 things a week on our schedule and spread things out. So when you get more than 7 days in a row without something, you start to get a little antsy.
Well, the girls must have stayed fairly active. You guys came out right away on Monday and had to wrestle up at Kemper with a tournament up there. Pretty good showing for you and the girls. How did you feel like things went?
Honestly, you could tell we had a little bit of rust we needed to knock off. Unfortunately, and we had this conversation, the coaching staff did with the girls. We said when we have a rough first round of a tournament, it's really hard to come back from that.
Right.
So we did kind of have a slow start, and again, that's somewhat expected because it's your first one back. I know some of the other teams that were at that tournament had already wrestled a few days prior, so they kind of got that out of their system. But not to make any excuses. But then you got to show your resiliency. You got to come back in the second round. You got to make the most of it. You got to battle back on the backside of brackets, and that those are lessons that are going to help you in the future. We would love to have some of those matches back. I know some of those girls are kind of kicking themselves. They lost matches to girls that they had beat in the past. Really thought they knew some secrets to beating them, and just couldn't pull the trigger. Just a little bit sluggish. I don't know if some of that is we didn't go hard enough in our warm up, or like I said, it's just that 7 to 10 days of no live action. But yeah, like you say, eventually we righted the ship. We bounced back. I'm pretty sure our stats were something like 15 wins and like 12 or 13 losses. So we were above that 500. Put about half the team on the podium, give or take.
Right.
So it's not a complete loss. It was a little bit of a wake-up call. Sometimes the girls need that anyway, so it's good for them.
Coach, you did a nice job. You just talked about, hard when you maybe don't get that first-round win to come back on the backside and do some good things. Who did some good things for you on the backside when they got there?
Really, most of the team, honestly. Like I said, it was a pretty rough first round. I credit a lot to our senior leadership that noticed it, saw it happening. They've been there before. They saw girls kind of going in half speed, and they corrected it without coaches having to say anything. We don't always get a lot of time to talk to our athletes. Once the tournament starts, we're bouncing from mat to mat to mat. You get very little one-on-one time with the girls or the team as a whole either. Really, your only chance to talk to them is while they're wrestling, and they don't hear a lot. They don't learn a lot there.
Yep.
So it's nice to have experienced seniors, senior captains on the side saying, girls, this is not who we are. This is not what we want to see. I noticed a couple of girls getting pulled out into hallways and getting warmed up, things like that, just making sure girls were ready so we didn't have a bad second round, and we really bounced back there. As far as specific individual girls, I couldn't even tell you specific examples. But, we had a couple of rough ones, getting beat by some local teams at some weights where we don't usually lose. I know, Alexis Esquivel was really hard on herself about it, but with the record that she has, she can have an off day. It's okay. It's not going to break her season at all. So, again, no real specific examples, but just as a whole, the team being able to recognize the fact that we're a little slow there and correcting it themselves before it's too late and the tournament's out of control. Like I said, we ended up winning more than half of our matches by the time it was all said and done. So if you would have told me that halfway through that first round, I probably wouldn't have believed you. But yeah, they did it. So they did it on their own.
Couple of champions for you in both the Emmas, Emma Grossman and Emma Daniels. Emma Daniels winning both of her matches in less than a minute by fall, 37 seconds and 52 seconds. And then for Miss Grossman picking up a couple of wins by fall as well, including in the first period in the championship match. So how well are those two wrestling right now?
Really good. Hitting on all cylinders. It's kind of easy for them because, again, they have so much experience. And it's not just regular season experience. I mean, these are girls that go to state tournament. These are girls that spend their whole summer going to AAU stuff. Emma Daniels went all the way up to North Dakota, wrestled at Fargo for freestyle. Emma Grossman went all the way down to Florida for the Scholastic duels. So they weren't staying local and they weren't dodging opponents. And it really shows when they're here in the regular season, you know, going up against opponents, local schools, and sometimes not as local, and they don't really care who's up there. They don't really care who steps on that line. You're gonna get everything that they have every single time, and they don't, like I said, they don't care if it's at Carroll, at Kemper, where we're at. You're going to get the same product every single time they go on the mat, so you got to be ready for them.
Yeah, that's what makes them great,
nobody's really a sure thing, I wouldn't say, but you know, those two battle. So,
Coach, they're going to have to battle probably today. Going to see some teams, as you said, not afraid of them, but teams you're not familiar with and stuff. As you guys head over to West Marshall, you guys jumped into this tournament last year, decided to stay in it. You like the challenges it offers, seeing different kids.
Absolutely. You know, we were kind of joking about it in practice, and some of these schools we've never even heard of. Like, the girls have never even heard of these schools. You know, they're asking, where is this on a map? And it's like, you know, what does that matter? We're going to go get after it. So, yeah, this is the type of experience you have to go look for this. It doesn't happen every day. We spend a lot of time wrestling local teams, and that's great. But at the end of the day, like, you know, you can only go so far wrestling Kemper and Denison and you know, all those other schools around here. We gotta branch out. We make a conscious effort to do that. We went to West Monona to try to wrestle some Sioux City schools. A little bit later, we're going to be going to Waukee Northwest. You know, and that's really the goal, is to spread out as far as you can within reason, and hope that you can run into some teams and learn some new techniques, learn some different situations.
Well, Coach, I tell you what, I have a feeling your team's going to do well. This is a tough up and down the lineup at team. So appreciate you joining us here today. Best of luck coming up over at West Marshall, and we look forward to catching up with you a bunch here over the next 6 weeks.
All right. Thank you so much.
You bet. Head coach again, Joe Daniels with the Carroll Girls Wrestling Team. We're back with more here on the Peach Ranch Coaches Show on KCIM.
January is busy, but dinner doesn't have to be. At A&W Jefferson, they make it easy to enjoy your hometown favorites your way. Order ahead on the A&W app for quick pickup. Cruise through the drive-thru when you're on the go. Or come inside, sit down and use tabletop ordering. Order right from your table and relax. No lines, no stress, just hot burgers, crispy fries, and ice-cold root beer. However January looks for you, they've got you covered at A&W Jefferson. Easy, fast, and always delicious.
That's going to wrap up our Peach Ranch Coaches Show for you on this Saturday. Thanks again to Justin Yetmar, Sean Minahan, Katie Cook, Randy Beeson, Shane Vaughn, Eric Noggle, Deb Danner, and Joe Daniels for joining us. Thank you very much for joining us here today as well. We'll be back next Saturday morning beginning at 8 o'clock as well. Don't forget, local sports going on for you today in basketball. Kemper boys taking on West Lyon. Varsity game should get underway a little bit before 7 o'clock tonight on Kick 106.7. I'll have the broadcast there. Arweva entertaining Woodbury Central at 3 o'clock today. Exarocron Kimballton girls entertaining ACGC down in Audubon. That'll be on 93.7 KKRL and the CB Sports Network YouTube channel. Nick Brinks bringing you the broadcast in Glidden Ralston at Westwood today beginning at 2 o'clock. In wrestling, all these starting here in just a little bit. Audubon girls at the Loma Woodbine tournament at Loma at 10. Carroll girls at West Marshall's tournament at 10. ESAC and South Central Calhoun girls at the Ogden Invite at 9:30. Kemper girls at the West Central Valley Invite at 10. Audubon and Carroll boys at the Roland Dyer down in Atlantic at 10. South Central Calhoun boys at the Coon Rapids Baird boys Invite beginning at 10. ESAC boys at GTRA's Invite beginning at 10. And Kemper boys are at Tri-Center's Invite also beginning at 10. Carroll boys swim team going to the Johnston Invitational today. That gets underway at 11 o'clock this morning. Thanks for tuning in here to the Peach Ranch Coaches Show here on the CB Sports Network. Jeff Blankman hanging out with you. Have a great weekend, everybody.